Hey everyone, it's Kevin T. Robertson, CEO of SpeakerFocus.com. And today I have 7 stages of managing the sales cycle. So I'm going to jump right into it by talking about prospecting, number 1, preparation, your approach, the presentation, handling objections, the closing, and also your follow-up. So I'm going to jump right into number 1, which is prospecting. The real question is, do you know your target buyer? The buyer of professional speaking services, we refer to them as meeting planners, conference coordinators, chair, board, or committee members, or some key decision maker who is directly responsible for purchasing professional speaking services. When you are prospecting, you just don't want to cast the net out wide. You don't want to do that, and here's the reason why. Generalists don't earn a lot of money in the world of high fee speaking. Now, the reason why you want to specialize in one specific target market is because it's easier to attract a target buyer who are interested in that particular topic. Let's say, for instance, if your niche is you're a leadership speaker, but your niche is health and wellness, then obviously you want to be able to attract all the conference coordinators who are booking speakers in the health and wellness space. If your thing is diversity or whatever your niche is, remember, leadership is the #1 bookable and most requested topic at conferences, corporate meetings, and events worldwide. At the end of the day, we are all leadership speakers. It doesn't matter what your niche is. Leadership is the cash cow, your Trojan horse. That is what's going to earn you the higher fees. So develop topics that fit a specific niche or target buyer. Remember, your goal is to get past the gatekeeper. When you're prospecting, you need to be in direct contact with the key decision maker who is booking speakers. So as you're prospecting, make sure that you're not talking to the intern or the secretary or the person at the switchboard. Make sure that you request, hey, can you put me in contact with the person who books speakers or works with outside contractors for your organization? That will at least put you in the ballpark of knowing that you're talking to the key decision maker and the right prospect. The next thing is going to be the preparation. How are you going to prepare to deal with your prospect? And preparation means, like, what is going to be your sales tools? What does the pre-sale look like? How are you going to sell your professional services before you even start talking to the target buyer? That's all in the preparation. You got to make sure that you are prepared. People suffer from glossophobia because they are afraid to get in front of other people to speak. What takes away the fear of public speaking? Preparation. When you're talking to the conference coordinator, I suggest that you know how to have the proper pricing conversation with them. You know exactly how to identify with their needs. You understand exactly what their pain is. Excuse me. Preparation is so critical. I see way too many speakers, and I used to suffer from this as well. I just didn't know what to say to the prospect. I didn't know what to say to the conference coordinator. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a script. I didn't know what to say or how to say it. So then you find yourself being in broke, begging, and desperation mode. It's like you float around in no man's land, and you find yourself not really knowing how to connect with the conference coordinator because you're not prepared. You've got to know what your brand is. You got to know what their pain is. You got to know how your brand is going to be a good fit for your prospect. Preparation is definitely key. The next thing we're going to talk about after preparation is the approach. How do you want to approach the conference coordinator? Most speakers go in real hot, like the motivational or inspirational speaker, and that's why they don't get any bookings. See, professional speakers understand that they're going to go in as the coach or the consultant. They're going to go in ready and prepared to answer questions. They're going to show the meeting planner that they are, in fact, a specialist, subject matter expert, leading authority, and a trusted advisor. So your approach should be where you're going to listen. Remember, selling is not convincing. Selling is listening. Selling is proper positioning of your brand and presentation of the facts. So your approach, communication, remember, is all in your approach. These meeting planners or conference coordinators need to be able to know, hey, I'm a consultant. I work with companies like yours to deal with a litany of challenges that we all face in the world of leadership development. If you have a few minutes, I have a pen in my hand. I'd like to help you address some of the concerns that you're faced with when you're dealing with planning your conference or your upcoming event. And then I'd like to be able to directly address those challenges with some customized signature programs that I put together. I'm all ears whenever you're ready to start talking. See, the approach is letting them clearly know that you're here to help. A savior has arrived. Remember, there's medicine in your message. You come with real strategies to move the meter that no one else in the industry is helping them do. Remember, these conference coordinators are in the top 5 when it comes to stress. Right up there with law enforcement, firefighters, medical professionals, and also attorneys. Your job is to make sure that you have the right kind of approach, a helping approach, a discipline of service. Now let's get to the presentation. When I say presentation of the facts, like how is your professional speaking deliverables going to help the person who's on the other end of that line or on the other end of that Zoom session? How are you going to connect with them? What's going to be your presentation? You don't have to hard sell. A presentation is making sure that after you do the needs assessment, that you go into your presentation. A presentation is a flow. From top to bottom, you should get into a flow of explaining to your target buyer exactly the value that you have in your professional speaking deliverables. Also, you need to make sure that you give them some key takeaway strategies. You're going to help them achieve their desired outcomes and their audience's learning objectives. See, if you can do that, they're going to discover all of that throughout your presentation. They're going to hear whether or not you care. Through your presentation, they're going to get the value. Through your presentation, they're going to find out what you're made of, who are you, what do you do, how does it benefit them. And then after you give the presentation, if you did your job the right way, there should be room for very little questions. However, if there are any questions, you are going to facilitate those questions. And that comes to the next stage, which is handling the objections. When you do not give a strong presentation, you leave the door open. No, you leave it open for Pandora's box. They're going to open up any and everything that you didn't have the respect enough to answer for them throughout your presentation. Remember, a strong presentation leaves room for very little questions at the end. If it is any questions, watch this. They're going to say, well, people maybe have an objection about money. Well, we have speakers who are willing to do it for less. And the reason how you could handle that objection would be, well, I have clients that pay more, clients that pay my fee. So you always have to answer an objection. You have to know how to deal with objections. A great way to deal with an objection is the word great. They're going to say, well, Kevin, I don't really think we're prepared right now to be able to we're not really ready to say. I say, great. A lot of people aren't ready. But the key is, how long are you going to sit there in the pain that you're in? And you told me that you had a high turnover rate. So how long are you going to keep hemorrhaging money? It looks like at an average of $50,000 per employee that you told me about, you're hemorrhaging about $1 million a month. You're losing 20 employees per month. That's $1 million worth of revenue going out the door. Do you realize it takes 3 times the salary to replace them? And you're telling me that you're not quite ready. It sounds to me like you should be ready right now. So you have to put things on the mind of the target buyer to let them know. Last but not least, after handling objections, you're going to go to the close. There are certain things you're going to do to start closing them. That's the follow-up email with all the information in there, with the right kind of sales tools, a video, all of the links inside the email is going to answer every single question that they're going to have. And when you do it the right way, that the sales tools are going to help you close. And then last but not least is going to be the follow-up. I'd recommend putting the follow-up on the calendar right when you finish up the first call, because that's going to act as a deadline. A deadline is a forcing system of accountability, and it's going to hold them accountable to get on the follow-up call, provided that you looked at all the information that I gave you in the follow-up email, and that is going to allow you to close them. The follow-up is the final stage of the closing, and you're going to be on your way to becoming a high-fee speaker. Remember the 7 basic steps to managing the sales cycle.